Welcome to another episode of Global Pulse in 60 Seconds. I'm your host, Khizra Ahmed, and today I'm delighted to welcome Dr. Amir Lahav, who is joining me from Boston. He's the founder and chief executive officer of SkyMedAI, a forward-thinking advisory firm helping visionary companies build human AI teams to redefine standards and shape the future of medicine. Amir, it's a privilege to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Khizra. It's a pleasure.
Amir, could you share a bit about your background? Your experience spans across neuroscience, healthcare innovation, and of course, AI strategy. What truly inspired you to take this leap into entrepreneurship and build SkyMed AI?
Well, if you want me to share about my background, that would be actually a no pun intended, because I can actually speak about the real background behind me, which is, in fact, what made me who I am. I started as a professional musician, and I truly believe that musical training shapes your brain. And it's as a kid, when I was studying, I didn't even like to take piano lessons, and my parents, I remember, had to force me. But then, of course, I fell in love, and it does shape the neural pathway of your brain. It's a new language. It's basically reading music is a second language, but also listening to music and breaking the rules in music is actually something very important. It's a very important step that if you actually pass that test, that you are feeling brave enough not to follow the exact note and break it and do something that is a little off Broadway, maybe a little note that is off key, and you start to improvise. That's actually the beginning of what I call thinking out of the box. Because in the musical world, you have a specific key of D, key of C major. You have to basically keep yourself within the restriction of that musical key. But when you start breaking the rules, this is when the beauty comes out. And I wasn't prepared to answer this question, actually. So I'm actually improvising even right now as we speak, because it's not something that I often talk about. But I do think that my non-traditional way of thinking about science, about medicine, about not even thinking out of the box, but I would say not even seeing the box at all sometimes, that's really what led me to be a good advisor, to be a good scientist, to be, I don't know, good, but at least someone who is willing to take the leap and not take things for granted and question and try to find a way to make things better, and not, when I see a problem, I feel uncomfortable until I find a solution for it. And sometimes I see solutions and I'm like, no way, that's not the right way to do it. There must be a better way. And for me, long story short, it all started on the piano. And then it generalized to a lot of other aspects of my life, in my personal life, in my professional life, as a Harvard professor, as a leader advisor, and then nowadays as an advisor for pharma, medtech, and startup, who basically I feel like I'm very lucky to be in a position where a lot of smart people share with me problems that they have and use me as a thought partner to see if we can maybe address it or think about it or find a solution. The reason I'm saying I'm lucky is because it gives me a lot of perspective and a lot of examples about mistakes that people make. Startup founders who make a mistake, healthcare professional who made a mistake, they tried something, they pilot something and it didn't work. They share with me those stories. I feel like I become smarter just because I'm learning from all of those mistakes. So when I meet my next client, I'm in a very strong position to prevent that client from making a mistake that somebody else already made. And that saves time, that saves money. And when it comes to the field that we're operating, which is healthcare, saving time and money is not just important for success, but it's actually important for the overall mission of bringing therapies to patients who are waiting for a solution. And if I'm going to repeat a mistake that somebody else made, my solution will not come as fast as possible to the hand of the patients who are waiting. So for all reasons, I feel like that spot that I'm in where people share with me stories and they're comfortable enough to share sometimes stories that are not sugar coated. They're not Instagram, TikTok posts that we always happy, but they share actually what didn't work, and that's I feel how we learned the best. Because I'll just end this question or my answer with saying that unfortunately there is no scientific journal that is called the Journal of Failed Project. Nobody published them, and people try to protect their ego, and they don't always share. And there are so many experiments and so many inventions that actually didn't work out as they were planning it, and it came out completely the other way. And there is no way for anybody to read it. That's why I feel like it's not a very efficient medical scientific discovery, because we don't have that database available to us. And sometimes we have to figure this out on our own.
Very impressive. So building on that lens, as a neuroscientist and of course, AI strategist, where do you see the greatest potential for neurotech and wearable AI to transform diagnostics and patient monitoring, especially in the light of the recent regulatory updates around wearable AI and wellness technologies?
I love the question. I especially like the fact that you use the term wearable AI, because I want to, before I answer, to sort of tap into it, because it's part of the buzzword pandemic that we have with AI these days. I mean, let's think about it together for a second, okay? Wearable, artificial intelligence. I mean, we're not really wearing artificial intelligence, right? We are wearing sensors or some sort of some kind of a technology, whether it's a wristband, whether it's a sticker, whether it's but the AI itself, artificial intelligence, is not actually something that we can wear or put on our body. The same way that this thing over here, we used to call it smartphone, because it used to be smart compared to flip phones that we used to have, back in the day. But nobody calls them smartphone anymore. We just refer them as phones. And I think that we are now in a transition period that maybe people say wearable AI, but since AI is taking essentially all the oxygen in the room and all the oxygen in the world, and everything is AI powered, AI enabled. So even those terms maybe sound a little sexy now for a title of a publication, or even FDA may use it sometimes. But what it is essentially, it's a wearable technology where the algorithms that are used to analyze the data that is collected by this wearable technology, those algorithms are based on machine learning and artificial intelligence. So to make it sexy, people say wearable AI, but essentially it's nothing really new. It's the same technology, the same wearable, the same Apple Watch, Fitbit, or whatever you want to call it. And the data that is collected is being analyzed by more sophisticated algorithms. that were not available maybe back in the day when this particular wearable was came to market. So to answer your question, wearable AIs or AI-powered wearables is an amazing example of how we can think beyond the clinic. The clinic used to be the place where traditionally somebody, the doctor, the nurse, would invite you to check in to see how you're doing. In the world of technology that we have now, bringing you to the clinic to see how you're doing or to check you, it's almost malpractice in some way because I am bothering you almost and it's completely unnecessary to bring you all the way to the clinic when there is a technology that is available at your home that you can either wear or put on the wall, whether it's surveillance, healthcare surveillance. We can measure a wide variety of physiological and neurological parameters about you, including your behavior, your mood, your blood pressure, your heart rate variability. We can even, based on the music you listen to, we can infer your mood based on your facial expression. Every time you look at your phone, we can get a lot of information about your health. Eye tracking. There is so much that can be done at home. So if we're not using artificial intelligence for what it does best, which is prediction, that's basically what artificial intelligence is a way to predict patterns. In this case, it's the patterns of your health or human behavior. If I can have you wear a wearable device that will alert and raise a red flag when you are not yourself, it might not be sensitive enough or have the absolute resolution to diagnose a specific disease or to identify symptoms, but it will at least tell me that you're not yourself compared to the last couple of weeks, which is your baseline. And if you're not yourself in a certain aspect, whether it's your heart rate or blood pressure or mood or something else, that might be a reason for you to check in with the clinic, even remotely at first, to see what's going on, and only then bring you to the clinic. The threshold to bring you to the clinic should be much higher. That's what I'm trying to say. When we have, and if we have, strong enough algorithms that can really predict problems before they become a problem. Now, that's huge because then we're actually, with the power of wearable technology and the power of artificial intelligence algorithms, we can turn sick care into healthcare. We used to say we have a healthcare system, whether it's in the UK or whether it's in the US, it doesn't matter. We don't actually have a healthcare system. The healthcare system sucks, for lack of a better word. We actually have a sick care system because we wait for a problem. We wait for somebody to feel not himself or herself. We wait for a symptom to arise or for disease to happen, and only then we are reactive. We're not really proactive. So you mentioned the word wellness at the same sentence where you mentioned wearable AI. And I think this is very smart and very, very important here, because this is the transition and the power of transformation that AI can actually cause or lead to this world. We can talk more about our ability to keep us healthy, to maintain our wellness, to use those wearables to have more awareness of how we are doing, and not wait for a problem to happen when it's already too big and you need to be medicated, to solve those problems before they become problems. Payers the insurance companies, health insurance, they love this concept because you can save them a lot of money for paying for procedures and admission, hospital admission, and complications that they don't want to pay. They would much prefer to pay for a wearable device for you to wear at home, and maybe a billing code for the doctor to check with you, so the doctor also gets something out of it. We have to think holistically about the system. Obviously, if you're not coming to see the doctor is losing money, so the doctor should be paid at least by somehow by a billing code that will allow the doctor to view your Apple Watch data remotely, and then look at that and say, yeah, I think we should go on a telemedicine call before I invite you, but that should be paid. And like I said, insurance would much prefer to pay for those things as opposed to pay for much worse complication down the road.
Absolutely. And also, Amir, when it comes to opportunities that you've talked about and highlighted, there also needs to be rigorous evaluation. And I believe you guide companies through AI evaluation. I'm not talking about just wearable AI or wellness technology, and validation as well. What frameworks or say best practices ensure health AI is one, safe, compliant, and also aligned with patient needs?
Yeah, that's I think this is so important and so concerning at the same time, because we are in a period of a wild west. Everybody does whatever they want in terms of inventing new algorithms, self-nominate themselves to be clinically validated, while the regulatory playbook between Europe and the UK and the US and Asia are not necessarily aligned. There are very quite a bit of a differences in how different countries and different organizations define what is clinically validated when it comes to artificial intelligence. It's hard for people to develop trust. Investors are being misled by a lot of startup companies who really want their funding, and therefore, when they send them a pitch deck, they sometimes inflate the claims and sugarcoat what really their algorithms can do. And many times you see algorithms that perform really, really well on the training data in a demo environment. But as soon as the algorithm meets a data point that was not part of the training data, meaning as soon as the algorithm is actually meeting reality, it crashes. And the algorithms, the model cannot generalize. That's sort of the official term, cannot generalize. And there are biases and there are problems that you only see them down the road, often when it's too late. So what's happening right now, evolutionary-wise, we see a lot of pilots, a lot of AI solutions, huge pressure on health organizations, pharmaceutical companies, providers to use AI, because like, if I'm not using it, I'm not cool. But at the same time, a lot of corners are being cut in the in what we called the perfect clinical validation. A lot of people are compromising, missing steps, trying to get it fast, and it's really hard how to stay cutting edge without cutting corners. And that is something that a lot of people are struggling these days. And my prediction, based on my gut feeling, which is the best algorithm that I have, my own gut feeling is that a lot of these solutions that are being developed today, in a year or two, will become liabilities. It will backfire. We will see the results of solutions that have been adopted prematurely without enough validation or sufficient amount of validation. And sometimes I have to say, it's not because somebody is trying to cheat or somebody is trying to actually intentionally cut corners. Sometimes it's just lack of awareness, lack of knowledge, what is actually takes or what is really needed to evaluate AI for healthcare. And it's very important. I think you asked the question so nicely because you said not just AI, you said AI for healthcare. AI in healthcare should be able to say, I don't know. And that's not embarrassing thing for an AI to say. It's actually, in my opinion, should be a prerequisite. If AI can not say, I don't know, it's not ready for healthcare. We don't want to reward algorithms for being overconfident. We want to make sure algorithms know sometimes that if it's not the right, if they don't have the right amount of information to come up with a diagnosis or with a clinical decision support, they really need to hand off the decision to the human physicians and say, well, I'm supposed to augment you. I'm supposed to help you be better. I'm the artificial intelligence, the part of your brain that is missing. But at this point, I come off short, and I'm not better than you. You need to take it from here. And of course that AI that doesn't do it, it creates trust issues. And I think this is what's missing in healthcare, that even the doctors themselves don't fully trust every AI solution. And it's hard to force physicians to trust AI when AI is performing in such environment that clinical validation is a little bit of a wishy-washy. It's not very clear. We definitely need to put the standard very high. Investors need to do a much better due diligence before they put capital, because that's what I do with investors, by the way. My part of our services of SkyMedAI is to help investors see the hidden risks that they cannot see from a pitch deck that they would get from a startup that wants funding. So we help investors get a reality check before they write a check. And they appreciate that because we can save them millions on something that maybe in 2 years from now would not even be relevant or may have foundational flaws in the model. And that's something that, honestly, there's no way in the world that they would find out unless we actually went there and look very carefully. And I feel this is my responsibility, almost ethical responsibility as a clinician, scientist, AI strategist to help our society and community to raise the bar and not compromise, because tomorrow it can actually impact me or someone in my family when one of these AI solutions will be adopted by an hospital and a mistake will happen. So that's what I'm trying to do. It's not just a business; it's also a mission-driven life goal of mine right now. That when it comes to clinical validation, let's not cut corners.
Well said, Amir. And your answer truly underscores how important it is to correct common misconceptions about building AI. And when talking about misconceptions, and we have talked about this before as well, in a past interview, you remarked that pharma industry loves innovation as long as there's no change. Now, given the sweeping advances we're seeing today, for example, in oncology, from digital twin models to increasingly precise ADCs that could redefine cancer care, do you still see pharma as reluctant to embrace paradigm shifts?
I have to say that pharma is surprising me these days. And you know, when in 2015 there was a huge surge for digital health. That was the buzzword before AI really started to control the world. When it came to digital health, I did see a lot of pharmaceutical companies struggling with innovation. On the one hand, yes, they wanted to stay current and be cool and adapt the digital transformation. But when push come to shove, they were like, it's too risky. We don't know. Why should we even change if the regulatory authorities are not asking us to do anything in that department? Let's just do what we do best, which is developing drugs, sell drugs. The digital part, maybe let's leave it for Google, Amazon, Nvidia, and Microsoft. Things are changing now. AI is a much stronger revolution and renaissance, if you like, compared to digital health. And I've seen companies like Eli Lilly and Pfizer and Novartis and some of the big companies adopting AI in a way that they are really thinking about the future. They are preparing themselves for how the world will look like in a couple of years from now. And they understand that, some of them even understand that even AI is actually not sexy anymore. They are starting to talk about quantum computing instead of AI, because they feel like in 2-3 years from now, even that AI trends and buzzword will fade out and people will realize that AI has limitation, and the quantum computing, what we see happening in other parts of the world, China, etc., is getting to kind of to a level that exceeds our expectations of what even was possible. You know, we used to think AI will solve a lot of problems in data integration. AI can take data from so many multiple sources and put them together, synthesize them, come up with a machine learning algorithm, and come up with prediction on, here is a new compound for a drug. Here is a new algorithm to detect neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer or ALS. Now with quantum computing, I feel like it's kind of, the quantum computing is not there yet, but if you listen carefully, he's already knocking on the door, and there is a big wave, and I think I don't know enough about what every single pharma company is doing, but I do want to mention Eli Lilly, because from what I've seen, their investment, the $1 billion investment in collaboration with Nvidia on what they call the pharmaceutical new age of the future. This is a huge investment that I've never seen at that level in a pharma company, which really showcase commitment to change, commitment to understanding the limitation of us humans in solving problems, and really the coming to peace almost with the notion that, yes, there are things that we're not good at, and it's our responsibility, if we want to develop drugs, we need to delegate some of these strategies of drug development to an entity, whether it's AI or quantum computing, whatever, that can do a much better job. Because if we don't do it, what it means, it will take us years to develop drugs. We'll spend a lot of time and money on developing the wrong drugs. We will enroll patients in clinical trials, giving them a hope that maybe this trial will actually save them, but no, because we are continuing to protect our ego. We know how to do it better. We don't want to change anything. And if we continue like that, I don't think we will get very far. So if we really want to change the world, we do need to delegate some of these responsibilities to solutions that are beyond our own intelligence. But here comes the trick. The tricky part is, how do you not lose yourself to AI? How do you not, you or we as humans, how we not lose the core elements that make us humans, and we completely surround to this artificial intelligence? And that is a line that we should not cross. So there is a fine line between delegating some responsibilities under the understanding they can do it better, but it's going to be under our supervision. It's going to be done under our ethical judgment. We will still be in control. We will still have the final word, but we will use AI not in replacing of us, but in a way for what it was developed for, augmenting us and allowing us to become a better version of ourselves, using this artificially intelligent power.
Well, your reflections on the tension between embracing innovation and resisting change illuminate just how critical thought leadership is in bridging that gap. Now, shifting the focus a bit, I'm really excited to talk about the upcoming summit in June. And from our discussions, my understanding is that the aim of DHAI Summit is to bring together leaders at the forefront of healthcare AI. So how do you envision this gathering fostering collaboration among industry, academia, clinical practice? And what outcomes are you expecting to emerge from the summit?
So I'm so glad you asked about the summit, and I want to see you there for sure. Are you going to be there? I'm extending an invitation live. I want you there. We'll find a way to bring you. But first of all, it's going to be fun. It's not a nerdy type of a conference. And it's not also a conference where there is a giant exhibit hall where you can get lost in translation with a lot of exhibit booths. This is not the magic of DHAI. The magic of DHAI is a conference that I personally curated because I was frustrated with a lot of other conferences that I used to go to. And I felt the conversations sometimes are not real. People kind of sugarcoated some of the stories. There's a lot of sales pitch on stage. You don't really know what's right, what's wrong. People don't talk about failures. And sometimes the conversations are very niche. So there's only providers or clinicians on a panel, or there are only investors, or there are only pharma people. So I thought a healthy mix of the entire ecosystem, from medtech, health tech, pharma, health systems, biomedical engineering, data scientists, investors, regulator, payers, patients, everybody needs to be equally represented in the room. And being in the room with very high caliber speakers, and I admit the speaker lineup of DHAI 2026 is even exceeding my expectations. Like we are now getting speakers. I'm not gonna spoil, but if people want to go to the website and look, you guys will be impressed. Everyone who goes there, we've got interest from people that I feel very actually flattered that they would like to come to DHAI when honestly we're not Health, we're not Vive, we're not Teams, we're not one of those giant conferences that everybody goes to. And yet people are starting to appreciate this community that we're putting together. People who, like I said before, believe in AI, believe in technology, but are stubborn enough not to lose the core element that make us human. Genuinely invite that person to have a conversation with the audience, and invite that person to continue the conversation even when they're off stage, because there are no egos, and actually nobody is listed as a speaker with their credential. We don't care if you're MD, if you're PhD, if you have MBA, or if you never went to college. It doesn't matter to us. Everybody is listed just by their names, because we're human beings first and foremost. And then we're trying to do something also that might be meaningful in the investment world, in the healthcare world, in the pharmaceutical world, or maybe I'm a patient also that come to that conference. We invite everybody because this is the unique part of this conference. We talk about the most innovative things. We're not afraid to touch topics that are a little controversial. We're not a mainstream conference. So we will talk about human AI disagreements, and we'll talk exactly about the fear even about human AI disagreements. So I invite everybody, you and whoever listens to this podcast, to join us on June 8, 9 in Boston at the Omni Seaport Hotel. Amazing venue. And I know that I will be there at least, and try to make everybody feel home, because it is really a community. I don't run conferences for living or for business. I run them because I enjoy this community building, and I feel like it's my responsibility to bring everybody together and bring the leading voices on stage and off stage.
That's such a powerful vision, Amir, because as you said, DHA isn't just about showcasing at the future, it's about building it together. And what's truly inspiring, honestly, for me is how this summit creates a shared space for everyone. And finally, considering your global perspective, I'd like to end with a big picture question on the future of health. So, in 60 seconds, do you envision a day when humans would like to be seen by an AI rather than a doctor?
Seen by AI rather than a doctor. It's a really nice question. I didn't see it coming, by the way. But you know what? Let me answer this. I heard from you that you might be going on a flight soon from the UK to Denver, Colorado. Say you go to Heathrow Airport, and just before you're boarding, there's going to be a sign at the boarding area that 50% of the flight today is operated by AI. Would you board a plane?
I would need to have more information. That is not enough.
I love the answer. The reality is that, and you can chat GPT it if you want, is that most of the flights, the international flights, are already actually powered by and operated by AI up to about 50%. People just don't know that, and there is no sign at the boarding area, but it's actually already happening. In fact, the autopilot part for landing and departure, it's almost 90% AI. When you don't know that information, you don't know, you don't care. But once you put a sign like that, right, it will make some people will say, I'm not sure I'm going on this flight, right? And I think we are in a very similar way. We're in the same situation in healthcare. There are a lot of things that are already happening with AI in the background, in medical records, in clinical decision support. We don't always know that because it's behind the scenes. But I've heard that there are certain hospitals already trying this exact question that you asked me, and they, in the emergency room, they have actually a robot that asks the patient, do you want to be seen by a doctor or you want to be seen by me today? And they also use it as an experiment to see how people are, how much trust they have. And trust is a function of one thing: positive experience. That's human nature. You know, it's really easy to lose trust. It's really difficult to build trust. So those experiments in hospitals, in waiting rooms, trying to get people sort of used to the idea that being seen by an AI, not maybe for the whole visit, but maybe just for the first part of the visit, you know, and maybe if there needs an escalation, you can be seen by a doctor, but maybe you can even leave here in 5 minutes, get your prescription, and you are done, and you'll be very happy with it. And guess what? AI never has a bad day. AI will always have the empathy and the patience for you. The AI will not rush, will not cut you off in the middle of a sentence. It cannot burn out from seeing 5,000 patients yesterday and they are tired. So there are some advantages to that as well. But again, I'm escaping your questions because I don't have a clear answer. Yes, I envision a day that it's going to happen. What needs to happen? And I think being able to say, I don't know, like previous parts of the interview before, is a core element of any conversation about AI. I don't know how we get there, but I know the trust needs to be built.
It's a very powerful remark and really good examples, Amir. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
and
you.
for offering such meaningful insights into the future of health AI. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast today.
I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.